What's happening, Celtic family? I hope you're all doing well out there. Look, it's been a week since that game against Rangers, and most people, most channels, not just the Boys in the Green channel, are still talking about it because the performance was less than impressive, and that I understand why people are still talking about it. But I've went down the comment section of a few of the channels, including my own, and it seems like the Celtic support are having a bit of a meltdown. We all laughed at Rangers, and we have been laughing at Rangers all season for having meltdowns the full season. But it looks like some Celtic supporters are starting to have a bit of a meltdown. I also went back and I watched the game because in my own comment section, a lot of you were saying that you thought I got it wrong with certain players, and this player was pretty good. The ones that I was saying that were absolutely shocking, you thought actually had a pretty good game. So I didn't want my emotions to get the better of me, as I did when I was at the game. As many of you probably know, when you're at a game, you can let your emotions get the better of you. So I went back this week, rewatched the game. Join me in this video to find out if I've changed my opinion on certain players or if I still think the same. Just before we begin, do us a favour, smash that subscribe button. We are just about to hit 2,000. We are trying our hardest to get to 2,000. We want to try and get to 5,000 by the end of the year. That would be an amazing achievement. Most of you know that have followed me from the beginning, that it was December that we began this channel, just after I put the song out called Boys in the Green. And we've got to just about 2,000 already. Thank you so much for all your love and support. And what we're trying to do here is build a community of like-minded Celtic supporters so we can come on here, have our say, have a chat. So go for it. Smash that subscribe button. We want to get to 2,000. As I said, trying to get to 5,000 by the end of the year. I would very much appreciate it. But let's talk about whether I thought that maybe I got my comments wrong. Maybe what I said about certain players, one being Luke McCowan and the other one being Reo Hatate, maybe I got that wrong. I went back and I watched the game, and listen, I thought that Luke McCowan was woeful, and as I've said plenty of times on here, that I am a big supporter of Luke McCowan. I even liked Luke McCowan when he was at Dundee. Didn't think Celtic would sign him, I'll be completely honest. I didn't see that one coming in the door. But I actually liked Luke McCowan when he was in Dundee. And I want the wee guy to do so well. And I believe that Luke McCowan will be a great addition, and is a great addition right now, but will be a really good addition to Celtic as the years progress. But that does not mean that because I think he is a good footballer, because I think that he is going to do really well for Celtic in years to come, and he is going to play a massive part in that Celtic team, that doesn't mean that he doesn't come under scrutiny for me. Anybody can. Callum McGregor is my favourite player. My favourite player, and has been for years, right? I think he gives so much. An absolute fantastic servant to Celtic. Everything you would want in a Celtic captain. Everything you would want in a Celtic player. He shows heart. He shows determination. He's great on the ball. He's great off the ball. He's great. He's a great leader. But there has been certain times in this season, I would say more so sort of December, maybe November, December, and a bit of January, where I've said on here plenty of times that Callum McGregor's just not playing to the way that we know that Callum McGregor can. These players are not exempt from getting scrutiny when they deserve it. They have to get it. Now for me, I thought Luke McCowan was extremely poor against Rangers. I thought he was extremely poor from the off. I know there's a lot of people in my comment section and other Celtic fans' channels' comment section saying that, yeah, but Luke McCowan, he gave everything. I don't doubt for 1 minute that Luke McCowan gave everything. I don't doubt that for 1 minute. If I was on that field, I would give everything. If you were on that field, you would give everything. Why? Because we're Celtic supporters. Luke McCowan is a Celtic supporter. He realises how big that fixture is. He is going to give everything because he supports Celtic, just like us. But that doesn't mean because we're giving everything that we've had a fantastic game or we've had a really good game. I thought Luke McCowan was very poor from start to finish. In regards to Reo Hatate, I thought Reo Hatate, and I will stick by it, in the first half was woeful. terrible. Now, anybody who has followed me on here, as I said, will know fine well that I have not been a fan of Reo Hatate this whole year. So for me to come on here and say Reo Hatate was awful should be absolutely no surprise to anyone on here. But it seemed like in the comment section that was a massive surprise that I said that Reo Hatate was awful. I thought Reo Hatate, especially in the first half, was absolutely terrible. Looked like a man to me that could not be arsed. Could not be arsed. Either that or just thought that this was a given. Because his work rate was absolutely shocking. Shocking. So much so that I even said in my previous video, my video after the game, that I thought I forgot Reo Hatate was on the park, especially in the first half. But going into the second half, I also said that Reo Hatate didn't really give much. He scored a goal, which was brilliant, but apart from that, he didn't give much. Looking back at the game, now I think I probably because his first half performance either didn't want to or just didn't see that the little things that he was maybe doing. And looking back at the game and watching it again, I thought Reo Hatate in the second half was actually pretty good. So I have to eat a wee bit of humble pie there, and I will. That's the thing, no problem. This video, this channel is going to be so authentic. Authenticity is key. I'm always going to be myself and I'm always going to say it how it is. That's just the way it is. If you don't like that somebody's just being honest and that's their point of view, because I've noticed on other Celtic channels, as I said, I constantly watch other Celtic channels, and it's normally after I have done my own content for two reasons. One of those reasons being that I don't want anybody to sort of influence anything that I've seen. And I think that if you watch any other sort of Celtic outlets or listen to the manager, then they can kind of influence you to then go on and go, oh, right, okay, maybe that's right. And I have to just say it how I see it. I think that's the only thing you can do. I say it how I see it. Plus, I love all these other channels. I've always watched all these other channels. I stay on here all the time. I've watched all these other channels. Axum, Celtic Fans TV, Ryan118, Celtic Exchange, 20 Minute Tims, all these guys, massive shout out to every single one of you. And I've went down some of your comment sections, and on there, some of the supporters in all these comment sections are having an absolute meltdown. To a degree, I understand it, right? I understand it because there's a lot of people on there who are arguing about who played well, who didn't play well. Oh, I don't agree with you there. Oh, listen to these guys. There's people going on about which podcast is better. Don't listen to these guys, listen to this one because that podcast better. They talk more sense. There is no such thing. There's no such thing as somebody getting it wrong. There's no such thing as somebody creating Celtic content on here and giving their view of what they've seen. That doesn't mean that they're wrong. It might mean that you don't agree with it, but it doesn't mean that they're wrong. It doesn't mean that what I've seen from that game or what I've taken from that game, that I'm wrong. It doesn't mean that the guys on 20 Minute Tims, what they've said is wrong. It doesn't mean what JP has said on A Celtic State of Mind that he's wrong. What it means is that we've all seen it in a different way. There'll be certain aspects of the game that we've seen that we are all agreeable on, and there's different aspects that we don't agree on. That's the thing with these channels. Take a wee bit from everything. That is why I watch every single one, because I get to get that outlook and a view, a different perspective from loads of different people. For me, I thought Reo Hatate was terrible in the first half and a bit better in the second half. But let's not get this twisted. I thought that absolutely everybody in that team were way below par. Way below par. And when I said especially as well, because that's another one that people are bringing up all the time, how can you think Jeffrey Schlupp was amazing? I never said he was amazing. Go back and listen to that video or watch that video again. I'll leave it at the end of this so you can go back. I never said he was amazing. What I said was that he probably got pass marks more so than other players. Do I agree and do I believe that he was at fault for the first goal? 100%. Of course he was. Of course he was. He cannot be letting Nico Raskin, the smallest guy on the pitch, get in front of him at that near post to get that header away. He cannot be doing that. Was there certain points where his passing was sloppy? Yes, but everybody's was. Everybody's was. He was just one of the best out of a really, really shit bunch. That is what I was trying to say. That Narowski, who we all panicked. There's not one person that sat there when that team lineup came out that didn't panic because Narowski was playing, right? A guy who's played 20 minutes of football this season. If you didn't panic, then fair play to you. Because even though Narowski, for me, anytime he's played for Celtic, he's been reasonably solid. That still left me coming into this game thinking, he's only had about 20 minutes, 30 minutes of football. How is he going to stand up to the mark with this? Because at the end of the day, whether we're 16 points clear, this is another thing, and we will get into some comments that I've got here. Whether we're 16 points clear or 116 points clear, I don't give a toss. These fixtures, you want to win every single one. And you definitely don't want to be given a performance like that. Because the performance, we can all be beat. Listen, if anybody thought that coming in there playing Rangers is going to be a given, then that's a silly, silly way to think. Because these fixtures, regardless, the most common saying and the most right saying that there is that all form goes out the window. That is so true in this fixture. I've seen a fixture that becomes so evident. That it doesn't matter what kind of form you're in. That goes way out the window when this derby comes around. So to perform like that, I think that is one of the things that's really upset Celtic fans, is that not only have we done this the game just passed, we done it in January and we done it in December. I know we won the League Cup, right? I know that. But the performance was anything but great. It was terrible. Said that at the time, said that when I was speaking to the guy beside me. This is shocking the way that we're playing. So this has not just been a one-time thing. And this is why Celtic supporters are getting on the back of the manager. It's not because they don't like the manager, right? That's the thing that I see this in a lot of people's comments. Get off, and I've actually got a comment, and I'm gonna stick it up. In fact, I'm gonna stick it up right now. This comment comes in from Cinzano Bianco 1. Look, wind your neck in, lay off the manager. Be careful what you wish for. A bit of perspective. Still 13 points clear. Okay, they started slowly and got bullied. Johnson, Kuhn and Engels were awful. And CCV, Schlupp, McCowan and even Schmeichel were poor. You simply can't blame the manager for all these no-shows. The only mistake he made was not starting Yang for the badly out of form Kuhn. Listen, Cinezalo Bianco 1. I hope I've got that right. I have no idea, but I hope I've got that right. First of all, thank you very much for leaving the comment. As I said, I always appreciate what you guys have got to say. But if you go back and you watch my video, please let me know when I blamed the manager. Please let me know when I mentioned anything about the manager and blamed the manager. I will actually go back and re-watch that video that I done, because I don't think that there's in any point in time in the comment section you've left a comment underneath that video, and I don't think I blame the manager at all. But let's talk about the manager, because I like the manager, but the manager doesn't get away with when he makes an arse of it, and he shouldn't get away with it when he makes an arse of it, and he definitely didn't for me when he made an absolute arse of it in January and did not hook certain players at half time. But there's times that he got it right in that game. He learned from that game in January because he hooked Kuhn at half time. Kuhn was fucking terrible in that first half. He had to come off. And that's what he done. He took Kuhn off. Best decision that he made. He put on Ida up front. Right? Ida, for me, throughout the game, didn't do too much, but he was a wee bit more of a target man, even though every time he did get the ball, took the ball down, he got the ball taken off him, right? But he is good at pulling defenders away to try and create gaps, right? So, but I thought what he done at half time, absolutely got it right. That's what he needed to do in January, so he's learned from that. Kuhn needed to come off. But his inability to change the system in game, when the game is happening, for me is a massive, massive issue. Why sometimes he did not ask his players to play that ball over the top instead of this possession-based football where we looked really, really, really fucking ropey at the back and playing out from the back to try and keep possession, where sometimes if you've got the likes of Daisen Maeda who plays off the shoulder, whether he's out in the wing or whether he's through the middle, who plays off the shoulder, sometimes put that ball over the top because Daisen will run like a fucking madman to get it. So, for me, I know what you're saying, lay off the manager. I wasn't on the manager's back. I wasn't on the manager's back. I don't know if that is actually directed at me or if that is directed at other people in the comment section. I don't know. I understand what you're saying. I get it, right? But Brendan Rodgers must come under scrutiny when he gets it wrong. Now, the system was all wrong. The way that they were playing their football was all wrong. Every single time. I am not asking, I'm not saying that Brendan Rodgers asked Alistair Johnson to play it back to Schmeichel all the time or to play it to CCV. I'm not saying that that's what he asked of them, right? But that is what fucking happened. That is what happened in that game. And I didn't see any other direction or anybody else shouting at them to tell them, put the ball over the top or let's press forward. There was none of that. There was none of that. And where I'm stood, I can look at the manager. I didn't see much coming from the bench at all. Whereas Rangers were extremely animated on that bench. But that's fucking Barry Ferguson. He's a wee Ned and he's going to be as animated as he normally is. But there was nothing from the bench. So we need to get these things sorted. And the difference of that Celtic team and that Rangers team, and I hate to admit it because I cannot stand Barry Ferguson. I could not stand him as a player, right? I couldn't stand him as a player, not just because he plays for Rangers, just his whole attitude. He's a little baby. Couldn't stand him as a player, whether it was for Rangers or it was for Scotland. Could not stand the guy as a player. And I can't stand him so far as a manager or a person. I generally don't have much time for him, right? But what he got right and what he said before he even went in his first day, one of his interviews he got was that what he's going to do is he's going to remind that team what it is to play for Rangers. Tell me a player on that park on Sunday. Now we've got Callum McGregor, Anthony Ralston, James Forrest, and now Luke McCowan. That I believe big Celtic men, they know what it is to play in this fixture. They know what it is to put on that Celtic jersey and give your all. But the rest of them, it looked like there was absolutely no fight within that team. No heart. I put up as on my thumbnail, heartless performance. And I've got people telling me it wasn't a heartless performance. It was a fucking heartless performance. There was no heart within that team whatsoever. None. And I know what you're saying about Luke McCowan, who's trying his hardest. Yeah, he was. So maybe he did show a bit of heart. But he was terrible, right? But there was no heart in that performance. Whereas Rangers done all the dirty stuff really well. Stuck close, clipped at people's heels. There was not one Celtic player that got a yellow card. Now, I remember the times of Scott Brown. Surely you all remember that. Wasn't that long ago. Scott Brown, within the first 10 minutes, boom. He'd hit someone and let them know that this is how the game's going to go. And then you would have to watch him for the next 80, 90 minutes in case, because he's already been yellow carded within the first 5-10 minutes of the game. But there was none of that. There's not a player on that park that's like that. There is not a player on the park that's like that. And just to bring up about CCV, I mentioned that CCV has not got any sort of leadership skills. Some of you didn't agree with that. Come on. Watch it back. Watch CCV. Watch Cameron Carter-Vickers. He has got no leadership skills. Is he a great player? 100%. But just because you're a great player doesn't make you a great leader. There's players within different teams who are maybe not as good as other players, but they're very vocal. They're very good at organising the team and speaking and telling them how they want. Like, sometimes that's a better leader. You don't have to be the best player on the park to be the captain. CCV, to me, is not a Celtic captain. Not right now, he's not. Unless that's an element of his game that he can improve on. Because he is, without a doubt, I don't think any of us would argue the point that he's an absolute brilliant centre-back. And without him in the team looks depleted. 100%. But people are arguing with me in the comment section saying, how dare you say that about CCV? Like, open your eyes up. Open your eyes, take the green tinted glasses off just for a fucking minute. Like, he's not a leader. Simple as that, he's not. And then with Callum McGregor being out, and I know, as I've stated on here, that there's been certain times through this season that I think Callum McGregor just hasn't been at Callum McGregor standards. And Callum McGregor standards are pretty high, right? They're pretty high. So he's just not been hitting Callum McGregor standards at certain points within this season. But you've taken him out that game. When he's been out that game, he's massively missed. Even the manager said it. He's missed. Now, a load of people going on about, well, he didn't make a difference in January, he wasn't that great in December. No, I know, right? But him being completely out of the squad, that was really evident to see that there was no leadership, no structure within that group of players there. Whereas Callum McGregor, even if he's off it, he's trying to get the ball, he's trying to move forward, he's trying to create something. He's directing people and telling people. I can hear Callum McGregor shouting at players from where I sit in the Lisbon Lions lower stand. I can hear him at certain points, directing, telling people where he wants them. There was none of that. There was absolutely fucking none of that. There really wasn't. But listen, it is what it is. And as far as I'm concerned, as I said, I was going to do a video about rewatching the game and would I change anything. Yes, I would change what I said about Reo Hatate's second half performance, right? I thought Reo Hatate, I got that one wrong. I let my emotions get the better of me. I was upset, raging, tried to come across on here like I wasn't, but I was upset. I was raging about the performance. There were certain players and I thought Reo Hatate just didn't do enough. I thought, I'll watch it back because there's quite a few people there saying that, I've got this one about Reo wrong. So I'll watch it back. You're right. But you also said I got it wrong about Luke McCowan, and I don't believe that I did. We've got to just put this one on the back burner and we've got to move forward and look forward to the Hearts game next week. And as many people have said, we're going to win the league. So we have to keep on thinking like that and put it to the back burner. And this is what this video was about for me. Getting a bit of closure. Watching it back. Figuring out, did I get it wrong? And I do admit, with Reo, maybe got it wrong. But the rest, no, I think I got it kind of spot on. Let's take the first comment because I thought it was quite witty. And this is not actually anything to do with the match reaction to the Celtic Rangers game. This is actually the video that I put out, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. It's only a couple of minutes long. And it was saying that I'm going to have a look, and the video will be out on Saturday. I'm going to have a look over the Celtic Rangers game to see if I had a few things wrong. So Matthew left me a message. I must admit, I kind of pissed myself when I seen it. And Matthew says, you start apologising for your opinions, you'll be like the rest of the vanilla ball bag vloggers. And listen, Matthew, I totally get it. And I'm not going to start, when I come on and say something, as I said, I'm going to keep things as authentic as possible. And I'm always just going to come on here and say it how I seen it at the time, so that it's raw. There is going to be times where maybe I'm going to have to eat humble pie and go, maybe I got that wrong, but I'm not going to come on and apologise for it all the time. I'm not. It's not me. It's not who I am. I'm not going to apologise for things that I seen at the time. But I kind of thought, looking back on it anyway, before I even really looked at many comments and that, I thought maybe I was a bit harsh on Reo Hatate especially. Maybe I was a bit harsh. So that's why I wanted to go look back at it. And as I said, these games are filled with so much emotion, especially where I sit. I sit right beside the away support, right on near that corner, just further over. And sometimes you can get carried away in the moment and maybe not be watching or taking in so much that, not really taking in what you should be taking in, right? Because there's so much going on. But Listen, thank you very much, Matthew Miles, 9626. I really appreciate your comment. I pissed myself when I seen it, so thanks for interacting with the channel. Keep it coming, my man. I appreciate it. Next comment's in from Andrew Farrell 2081. Listen, Andrew, thank you very much for getting in touch with the channel. I know that you are in the comment section quite a lot and interacting with the channel. Thank you for all your support. This is what you've got to say. Have to stop analysing everything our team does on the very rare occasion when we don't win games. Are we not the best fans in the world? It's 3 points for fuck's sake. Hail, hail, rest my case, laugh out loud. Listen, Andrew, as I said, my man, thank you very much for your comment, and I get what you're saying, Andrew. I know that sometimes we can be a bit fickle as Celtic supporters, and we have to understand that, yes, we are way ahead in the league. All the hard work has been put in, but these games, these fixtures, are the fixture domestically that means the most. It's as simple as that. So when you lose to your rivals the way that we have lost the last twice, and even 3 times, the performance we put in the League Cup was just absolutely terrible. So when you put in a performance like that against your rivals, these games, and you get beat, these games hurt, right? So we have to understand that it doesn't matter, as I said, whether we are 16 points clear or 116 points clear. It doesn't matter when it comes to this fixture. It doesn't matter. That was something that Ange Postecoglou had to get around his head, that we had when we won the league and then we went to Ibrox and lost 3-0. And there was still people raging. Because I don't know about you, right? But for the whole week, this has been on my mind. For the whole week. This is the thing with managers and players. I was speaking to a pal and he said the same thing. Speaking to him on Wednesday or Tuesday. And he says, do you think that the players are actually sitting there going, the support are probably still talking about it and thinking about this, whereas we forgot about it? That is the thing. Celtic supporters, this is a 24/7 thing, supporting this club. And when you get beat to your rivals in the manner that we did, it hurts. Listen, can we sort of keep going on about it? I know I'm obviously doing a video about it again, but that is it for me. Right, I'm not doing any more videos about this. We'll draw a line under it today. That's it, we move on. But we've got to think, Rangers have had a decade of this. A decade of just getting absolutely smashed by Celtic pretty much most of the time. And I am under no illusion that we're not always going to win against Rangers. They are the second best team in Scotland. Simple as that. Right? So there's always going to be times where, as I said, and I've said this loads of times, it's not a given that we're going to beat Rangers, whether it's at Celtic Park or whether it's at Ibrox or Hampden, wherever it is. It's not a given that we're going to beat them because they are the second best team in Scotland and they can cause you trouble. Are Celtic a better team? 100%. I don't even know if that is up for discussion or who wants to discuss that. Celtic are a better team. So when they play like that and they look mediocre, it hurts. It hurts. But listen, Andrew, thank you very much for your comment, mate. Keep supporting the channel. I appreciate it. DVP36 had this to say. We really have to address our midfield. It isn't good enough. We are fine when we start well and get to do what we want. Teams who do their homework and decent, we all fall apart. 5 or 6 times this season against better opposition, our midfield has collapsed and became jittery, sloppy and hide. We need to stop kidding ourselves if we want to progress. We need 2 quality midfielders with cool heads added to the squad. DVP36, thank you very much. And I have got to agree. I think that maybe our middle of the pack, which I have actually came on here and said plenty of time that we've got a lot of depth in. If I have to go back and look at some videos, I think that I will definitely have to eat humble pie on that one. Because even just having Callum McGregor out there was... you could notice it. You could notice it. You're looking for Luke McCowan to come in there, and you're looking for Arne Engels to really step up and take on that role of Callum McGregor. Listen, I've said in the second half, I thought Engels played pretty well. In the first, again, that's another thing that a lot of yous disagreed. Listen, there's some of yous in there who've seen it for what I seen it, that he was in a lot of space at times, just didn't get the service. Why? I don't know why. There was plenty of times where he managed to get away from his man, get himself in service. You could see him throwing his arms in the air because he was like, I'm here, give me the ball. He wanted to get the ball at certain aspects of the game, and the ball, he wasn't getting the delivery. He wanted to go and grab it by the fucking balls and make something happen, wasn't getting the delivery. I stated that I was happy to see Engels going over to the crowd and getting them going. A lot of people ridiculed me for that. Just do your fucking job on the field, they would say. Listen, understand what you're saying, get it, but I am going to tell you this right now. I've been to a lot of derby games, or Old Firms is what they used to be called. I've been to a lot of these games. That was the worst atmosphere I've heard inside Celtic Park at one of these games. The worst. So when you've got people on here, or some of the support who don't agree with the Green Brigade or the boys, I've stated all this before, that I'm all for them. I'm not going to keep on going on about it. That is very evident why I am all for them. Because there was no drums, there was no atmosphere, nobody was trying to get much going, and if they did, it didn't last very long. All Arne Engels was trying to do was, he could see that, he could feel that around the stadium. It was flat. Completely and utterly flat. That is on us. You hear Brendan Rodgers going on about how Celtic fans are the 12th man. Engels seen that, and he was trying to G up the Celtic support, because I don't care whether you take offence to it or not. None of us done our part. We didn't do our part. Now, I'm right beside that lot. I'm right beside the Rangers support. Apart from the time we scored twice, they went a bit flat. But apart from that, they were going, right? And we before that game began, we were the better side. We were going to go on and win it. But from the off, normally in these fixtures, and that's what I'm saying with the Green Brigade being in, even when I walk into the stadium with 20 minutes to go before kick-off, or half an hour, the drums are going, there's an atmosphere going, because you're going against that lot. There was nothing. Absolutely nothing from start to finish. Nothing. Even my son turned round to me and says, the atmosphere is fucking terrible. And it was. Simple as that. So Arne Engels, before we got the first goal, was trying to get everyone going. And it did. It lifted people, because people are like, let's get behind them. Then it depleted again. It went away back. So he's trying to get people going again. Then we got the second goal. Then he started doing it maybe a wee bit too much, but we knew that we were back to 2-2. So therefore, he's trying to get everybody lifted even more. Get us through this. Get us over the line here. We can go on and we can win this. But it was just flat. It was absolutely flat. But listen, getting back to DVP 36, I do agree with what you're saying. I think that the midfield definitely needs to be looked at. I am not saying that Luke McCowan is going to play like that every game. As I said, big fan, don't believe that he will. I think that he will learn a lot from it. And if you were to ask Luke McCowan, did you have the best game? Did you play to your full ability? I think he would say no. I think he would say, I just couldn't get into it. I just couldn't get the rhythm, and I couldn't get the rhythm that I wanted, and it wasn't a good performance. But listen, DVP 36, I do agree with you. I think that we need a wee bit more depth in the middle of the park. I believe that Reo Hatate will be away in the summer. I've said this before, and we're going to need to get someone in there. I know we are looking at some big 6'7" guy to come in there. I'm not going to go on about it, because right now it's March and I'm not taking anything as gospel. So right now it's March, and I'm not going to mention all the transfer news that I've been reading. But you are right, we need to strengthen in the middle of the park, other areas within the park as well. But yeah, for where I thought we had a bit of depth, we clearly don't. Thank you very much, DVP36, for your comment. Keep on commenting, keep on interacting with the channel. It's much appreciated. Next up, we've got George Robertson, and this one's basically to me because I said that Engels was better in the second half. George has got this to say: Engels is the invisible man. McCowan better than Engels the second half. Listen, George, thank you very much for leaving your comment. It is very much appreciated, and that is your point of view. For me, not a chance. Not a chance. But that is your point of view, and I've got to respect that. That is how you've seen the game happening, and that's what I said at the beginning of this. We've all got different views. That doesn't mean you're wrong and I'm right, and I'm wrong and you're right. Doesn't mean that at all. I thought that Engels definitely picked up. I thought this first half, again, like everyone else, pretty shit. Second half, picked it up, tried to G up the crowd, which for me, might not for you. You just want him to do his thing on the park. So do I. I want him to do his thing on the park. But he tried to lift the atmosphere because he's seen that the atmosphere was pretty flat. And before we leave it there, let's just mention, I know it's been well sort of documented and spoke about, but let's just mention why that atmosphere was not as great as it usually is. And that is because of the whole carry on with the Green Brigade getting kettled in on London Road just outside the social club. For me, it is a complete and utter carry on. It is nothing but an abuse of power. That's what it is. At any point in time, the police have been liaising with the Green Brigade. They had made it clear that they were setting off at a certain time. They done what they normally do. Now, I've parked down that way and I've walked up at the same time where the Green Brigade have been taken off, and they liaise with the police officers and they go back and forward, and there's never been a carry on. There's never been a carry on. They move forward with the police following them and they make their way to the North Curve. And I've seen it myself, and I believe that was what was going to happen. Just the usual. And they were told that they had to wait until the away support were in, which is fine. I completely understand all that. Wait till the away support are in, and then you can move forward. So that's what they've done. Then they go to move forward. They're kettled in, and all the excuses under the boot come out. And to be asked, every single one of them, to take off their glasses, their face masks, which I believe that the Green Brigade actually done. They went with it and they says no problem, went to do it. I don't know if they quite said no problem. I don't know if there was a wee bit of resistance with it. I don't know. But from what we hear is that they complied with that. We will take off the glasses. But then they started asking to be ID'd and everything else, and they flat out refused. Now, I know there's a lot of supporters on there asking, well, why not just completely comply with it and do what you're told to do? Now, if I'm stopped, which Section 60 meant that any of us could have been stopped on our way to the game and they didn't have to have a reason. For me, it is absolutely fucking bananas in the first place, because that has got to be against some sort of human rights. You can't just throw out there, we are putting out here Section 60 and it's going to be from 8 o'clock till 11:50 p.m, whatever it was between that bracket. Straight away you can tell that they're looking to do something. They're looking to get these specific fans group and stop them from going to the game or whatever, right? And we all know, because there was a carry on in Argyle Street, yada yada yada. But this is not just happening with fans groups. This is happening for just general supporters going to the games being stopped for no apparent reason because they're fans of whatever team they're fans of. But listen, it did happen, and it happened to the Green Brigade, and they were kettled in this absolute carry on for 4 to 5 hours, not letting anybody go for a toilet break, which to me is completely inhumane. It's completely inhumane to me that the fact that there's women and children, the men, women and children in there, you're not allowing them to go to the toilet. All they're wanting to do is move forward and go to the football. As I said, I'm not going to go on and on and on about it because I believe that it is in the hands of Celtic Football Club now, Police Scotland. I know the liaison officer of Celtic was there and involved. I hope that they can get this situation sorted, because it is absolutely, completely bang out of order. The police have no right to do what they've done, and they will continue to do that and take and abuse their power for as long as they can until something is completely and utterly set in stone and done about it, because it shouldn't be happening. It really shouldn't be happening. But anyway, I'm not going to keep going on about it. I do feel passionate about it, but it is very well documented and a lot of people have been speaking about it, so you don't have to hear me keep going on about it. But my opinion is that it's a total abuse of power. It should not be happening. And as I said, I'm a Celtic supporter who sits in the Lisbon Lions lower next to the away support. And what happened to the old Union Bears in there. Were they stopped? I believe that they were, because the guy that stands beside me said that there was more of them to come in as we were already in the ground. But when they walked in, and believe me, I seen it, they all had their sunglasses on, they had their masks on, and whatever. So, is that because they complied and they'd done what they were told, like good little boys and girls? But if it was me and I was stopped going to the game and they wanted to search me for no apparent reason, the first thing I'd be asking is what crime I committed. What crime have I committed? And if they can't give me an answer, then I would have flat out refused to be searched. That's just the way it is. You're not just going to stop and search me without having a valid reason for doing it. And I believe there wasn't a valid reason to stop these people. I believe that they thought that they had flares and weapons and whatever on them. They soon found out that they didn't. So therefore, why weren't they let go? But anyway, I'm going to go on, and that I could fill on a full video about that, and I won't. But let's leave it there. Listen, guys, thank you very much for joining me on the channel. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did not, thank you very much for wasting your time. And let's get ready to take on Hearts next weekend. I will put a video up looking forward and going over that game on probably Monday. It'll probably come out on Monday. So, listen, Celtic family, thank you very much. Please hit that subscribe button. You know what you're doing. You're supporting the channel, and I really, really appreciate it. But until the next video, guys, stay safe out there. Hail, hail, Celtic family. Take it easy.